This movie is about Rachel, a woman whose life is falling apart. Every day she watches a couple on the train she takes and becomes curious about their seemingly perfect life. But as she looks closer, she finds out that things are not as perfect as they seem. What surprises are in store? Keep watching until the end of this movie recap to discover the deep secrets and twists in The Girl on the Train. The story begins with a woman named Rachel who is riding a train home. She narrates how she always wanted a different life. Rachel always sits in the same seat on the train so she can have a perfect view of her favorite house, where a blonde lady is living an ideal life with her perfect husband. The couple always seems so sweet and full of love. Rachel wishes to have the same life as them, and she reveals that she used to live just 2 doors down from their house. Rachel remembers it as their first home, where she and her husband Tom used to be full of love too. 6 months earlier, Megan, a blonde woman, narrates her transition from a rebellious teenager to a lover, gallery manager, nanny, and what she calls a dirty girl. She tells her therapist, Dr. Kamal, that her current husband wants her to become pregnant, but she does not want to. To persuade her, he convinced her to take up a nanny job, thinking it might change her mind about having a baby. Megan confesses to Dr. Kamal that this did not change her mind. She still does not want a baby. In the present timeline, Anna bats her baby, telling the baby how much her husband loves her. She mentioned that he had made her breakfast in bed and had sang happy birthday to her. Megan, the nanny, assists Anna with the baby. Megan answers the phone, but the caller quickly hangs up. While folding the bedsheet, Megan informs Anna that she has taken another job and will start the next day. Anna expresses her upset because she will be alone tomorrow, but Megan leaves anyway. Tom, the ex-husband of Rachel and Anna's current husband, arrives, gives Anna flowers, and kisses her. Anna informs him that Rachel called the landline 3 times and hung up. She asks him to talk to his ex-wife because she is becoming worried, and Tom assures her it will be fine. On the train, Rachel watches Tom and his new family celebrating Anna's birthday. When she arrives home, she checks her ex-husband's Facebook profile and sees their happy photos. She gets drunk and calls Tom, but her friend Kathy stops her and pours the bottle of alcohol into the sink. She asks Rachel to stop calling her ex-husband and his family. Rachel has been staying with her friend for 2 years already after the divorce. She checks her phone and sees that she has made multiple outgoing missed calls to Tom before going to sleep. Rachel remembers when she and her husband went to a doctor for IVF because she was having a problem getting pregnant, but it failed. One day, while riding the train, Rachel looks at her ideal couple again, but this time Megan is kissing a different man. Rachel is devastated because the girl just threw away her perfect life. She then gets a bottle of alcohol and pours it into her water bottle. She sits at the park, drinking alcohol, and remembers the time she opened Tom's laptop and read his erotic emails to Anna, who was the real estate agent, and found out they were having an affair. She breaks down in the bathroom and says that she felt pure rage when she found the blonde lady cheating on her husband. Rachel says that if she could go to the blonde's house, she would pull her hair down to the ground and smash her head all over the floor. The train stops at Megan's neighborhood, and Rachel, who is drunk, gets off and notices a man following her. She walks fast into the woods and later sees a blonde lady walking into a tunnel. Rachel shouts at the lady, then there is a thud, and Rachel blacks out. She wakes up at her friend's house with bloodstains on her clothes and bruises on her head. Rachel attends a support group for alcoholics and shares that she gets into trouble when she's drunk and always forgets what she did. She recalls one time when they were having a party at Tom's office. Martha, the wife of Tom's boss, asked Rachel not to put the eggs inside. Rachel screams at her and throws the whole platter of eggs on the wall. Tom tries to calm her, but she slaps him. At their house, she continues to be violent. The next day, she remembers nothing, so her husband tells her what happened and says that he got fired because of her actions. When Rachel arrives at Katha's apartment, she sees 2 detectives. Detective Riley asks her where she was on Friday night. She answered that she was at work and that after that, she thought of visiting her ex-husband, so she got off the train but then decided not to go on and just went home. Rachel said she was back at the apartment by 11 p.m., but the detective found out that she boarded the train at 6 p.m. The detective asked Rachel what she was doing between those hours, and she could not answer. The detective shows her a picture of Megan and asks Rachel if she remembers seeing her. She says no and tells them she does not know her. Detective Riley says Megan works for Rachel's ex-husband, and she went missing the same night Rachel got off the train. The detective clarified that Rachel had been fired over a year already because of her drinking problem, and Rachel could not answer. After the detectives leave, Rachel suddenly remembers seeing Megan having an affair with another man, so she runs and tells Detective Riley about this. The detective asks how did she know that Megan was cheating even though Rachel does not know her. The neighbors said they saw a drunk woman near Megan's house that night, and Detective Riley says Rachel must have mistaken Megan for Anna. The detective added that Anna reported Rachel's frequent uninvited visits to their house. Rachel is stunned, and Detective Riley advises her to stay away from her ex-husband and his family. Flashback to 4 months ago, Megan talks with her therapist again. She says she lies a lot and sleeps around with different men. She touches herself in front of Dr. Kamal and tells her therapist that she thinks about him all the time. Dr. Kamal walks out. Rachel reads the news about Megan, who has gone missing. She decides to go to her house, and Anna sees her through the window as she passes by. Megan's husband, Scott, opens the door, and Rachel says she's a friend of hers, so he welcomes her in. She tells him that she saw Megan on their porch with another man on Friday morning, and Scott is heartbroken. Scott shows her a picture of Megan's therapist, and Rachel confirms he is the one she saw. Flashback to 2 months ago, Megan is being nailed by a mystery man in the woods. When she goes home, Scott jumps and assaults her. We then see Megan crying while talking to Dr. Kamal, saying her husband is abusive. Scott wants her to get pregnant, and they always fight about it. She hugs and kisses Dr. Kamal, but the therapist stops her because he's afraid he will lose his practice. Rachel sees a news flash that Dr. Kamal has been brought in for questioning about Megan's disappearance. She receives a message from Scott saying he wants to meet with her. When she asks him what's wrong, he says Dr. Kamal has been released because there was not enough evidence, and he is worried because the therapist revealed that Scott is an abusive husband to Megan, and now the police think that he is the suspect. Rachel tries to console him, but Scott suddenly gets enraged, and she becomes scared. Rachel goes to Dr. Kamal and asks for help in recovering her memories. She tells him about her blackouts when she gets drunk. The therapist asks when she started drinking heavily, and she says it was at the time when she could not get pregnant, which makes Rachel start to cry. Meanwhile, Anna goes to the police to report Rachel, who has been calling her husband dozens of times a day. The detective says the calls are all from an unknown number, and she does not know what they are saying to each other. Anna then says that Rachel is hanging around Scott's house, but Detective Riley says she is aware, and it does not add up to anything. The detective then asks Anna if her husband really does not want to stay in touch with his ex-wife, suggesting that he is hiding something. When she's back at home, Anna tries to open her husband's laptop using different passwords but fails. Tom arrives, and she quickly moves back to the couch. One night, Scott goes to Rachel's apartment. He says he does not know where to go because the reporters are in his yard. He found out from the detective that Megan was pregnant, and she told her therapist but not her husband. Scott says he has always wanted a family. They always think about it because Megan does not want a baby. Flashback to 1 month ago, Megan goes to her therapist late at night. She confesses that she got pregnant at 17 and loved the baby very much. One day, she gets in the tub and puts the baby on her chest. She accidentally fell asleep, and the baby fell and drowned. Megan blamed herself for what happened, and her boyfriend left her. She cries and hugs Dr. Kamal. While riding the train, Rachel sees the news announcing the discovery of Megan's body and the upgrade of the case to a homicide investigation. Anna confesses to her husband that she misses being the mistress and questions Tom about his enjoyment of his affair with Rachel. Tom instructs her not to mention Rachel. Upon Anna revealing her sighting of Rachel at Scott's house, she speculates that Rachel might have harmed Megan. Tom defends Rachel, dismissing her as just a sad, harmless person. Upon returning home, Rachel is startled to find Scott waiting for her. He reveals that Detective Riley informed him he is not the father of Megan's child, nor is her therapist. Scott, furious, demands Rachel sit down and express his fear. He confronts her about her false acquaintance with Megan and her intentions of merely trying to help. In a rage, she hurls a bottle at the wall, accuses Rachel of seeing Dr. Kamal, and assaults her before storming out, leaving her begging for her life. Frantic, Rachel heads to the police station to report the assault by Scott. Detective Riley suggests a potential affair between Rachel and Scott as the motive for Megan's harm. Rachel denies the accusation. The detective reminds her of her presence in the area on the night of the incident and the several unaccounted hours she cannot explain. Rachel insists Scott harmed his wife, but Detective Riley counters that surveillance footage alibis Scott at a sports bar that night. The detective accuses Rachel of lying and presses her for the truth. Overwhelmed, Rachel claims ignorance and flees. On Friday morning, Megan cries in their house while Dr. Kamal consoles and hugs her. At that time, Rachel sees them kissing on the porch from the train. Dr. Kamal assures Megan that she and her baby will be fine. Rachel later recalls seeing Megan cheat and her desire to pull Megan's hair and smash her head to the floor. Believing that she might have murdered Megan, Rachel leaves Katha's apartment on the train. Upon finding Martha, the wife of Tom's former boss, Rachel approaches her. Rachel apologizes for her previous actions, but Martha expresses confusion about the apology. Rachel admits to screaming at her and throwing eggs, explaining she had blacked out and forgotten the events. Tom had informed her that he was fired due to her behavior. Martha reassures her that she only got drunk and that she had taken her to the guest bedroom to nap, insisting Rachel did nothing wrong. Martha says Tom got fired because he was sleeping around with everybody in the office. Rachel now realizes that Tom made up the stories after that party. Tom pushed her on the street and left her, and in their house, it was Tom who smashed the mirror. Anna is still trying to open Tom's laptop. She gives up, and while putting the laptop back in the bag, she finds a cell phone. The texts have already been deleted, but when she listens to the phone's voicemail greetings, she hears Megan's voice. Tom wakes up, and Anna throws the phone away. Rachel goes back to the tunnel, and she remembers that it was Megan who she had seen that night. Tom gets out of the car and approaches Rachel. He pushes her away, and Rachel hits the wall. Tom smashes her head with his metal keychain, and Rachel blacks out. The man who was following her tried to help her, but she shot him away. Rachel goes to tell Anna that her husband is cheating. Anna says she knows and accepts that her husband is a cheater. She tells Anna that Tom killed Megan and she and her baby should leave him. Anna says they don't know that, and she is firm that she won't leave Tom. Tom comes out, and Rachel tells him that she remembers everything and she knows that he killed Megan. She says that Megan got into his car that night, and he attacked Rachel because she saw them. Tom tries to deny it, but then Anna says she found Megan's phone in his bag. She asked her husband if he was sleeping with Megan while she was working at their house, and Tom confesses he did. While the couple is arguing, Rachel tries to call 911, but Tom catches her and brings her to sit down. Rachel tells him that she now knows all the lies he told her when she was drunk. Tom suddenly smashes a glass on her head, and she falls down unconscious. Flashback to Friday night. Tom drives Megan into the woods. It is revealed that the mystery man who frequently meets Megan in the woods is Tom. Megan tells Tom that she is pregnant and that there is a chance that he will be the father. He tells her to get an abortion because he does not need another kid, especially with her. Megan gets angry and tells him that without his women, he is just a pathetic, impotent man. Tom is enraged and pushes her, and Megan hits her head on a rock. She tells Tom that he's going to pay for what he did for the rest of his life. Tom kicks her and smashes a rock on her head until she dies. Rachel wakes up, and Tom tells her that it is her fault. If she had only stayed that night and left them alone, Megan wouldn't have died. Rachel runs, takes a corkscrew, and dashes out of the house. Tom catches her, but then Rachel stabs him with the corkscrew, and he lies down, gasping for breath. Anna comes out and stares at Rachel. She kneels beside Tom and pushes down the corkscrew even more until Tom stops breathing. The police later arrive and interrogate them. Rachel says it was self-defense and Tom would have killed her. When Anna is interrogated, she says the same, that Rachel had no choice and Tom would have hurt her. She says that Rachel was right about Megan and everything she said was true. The movie ends with Rachel visiting Megan's tomb. She narrates that the three of them, including Anna, are now bound forever by the story they share. On the train, she now sits on a different seat and now has a better perspective of her life ahead. The movie ends.